Hi there! Welcome to Pallet University. For the longest time, I've thought of Arbok as one of the most interesting Pokemon because it was one of the first Pokemon to look pretty significantly different between generations from its hood pattern. You know, it's sort of, if you read through its Pokedex entries throughout, the 20 plus years of its existence since Generation 1, it references having different patterns depending where you find it. So it's almost like the first Pokemon to get a regional variant. A lot of people have said that. But I'm here to tell you today that Arbok isn't a Cobra. Obviously, Arbok's a Cobra. I mean, it's a snake, it's got a big hood. It's a Cobra, right? Well, not exactly. So I'm going to work my way the long way around this instead of, just telling you why it's not. So I'm going to tell you how I kind of got into this thought for a video. First, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my Pokemon theorist colleagues here on YouTube, Brett Mew XYZ. I'm going to be stealing sort of one of their concepts for video, which is the low stakes theory. Essentially, just a Pokemon theory that's not one of these big sweeping, theories that changes how we understand the world of Pokemon as we know it. Instead, it's just sort of food for thought, a theory that's neat to think about, but doesn't really change much. The link to Brett's channel will be down in the description below. Definitely check out their channel. They're sort of shifting away from Pokemon, sort of recently, but definitely give their channel a check out. It would be a personal favorite to me. So I've been wanting to do a low stakes theory for a long time, but I didn't know what I wanted to do it on. Until today, I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, and before I just say who it is, I'm going to give you another sort of long loop around. So if you look behind me here, this is in the background of almost every single one of my videos while I'm here at home, but it is a reptile tank. I have a pet leopard gecko. I love her dearly, and when I move into my own house, when I grow up, I want to have several more pet reptiles. I'm going to be that weird person that instead of having like 3 cats, I'm going to have a bunch of lizards and snakes. So because of that, I want to learn as much as I can about, how to care for different pet reptiles so that when I eventually do get one, I know how to take care of it properly. And because of that, I follow the reptile side of like PetTube pretty extensively. And one of my favorite content creators is called Clint's Reptiles. The link to his channel will be down in the description below as well. I would also consider it a personal favor if you would check out Clint's channel, because even if you're not into reptiles, you might become into reptiles just by watching how enthusiastic he is. He actually just earned his doctorate in biology education, so he's incredible at explaining things. Like he's got a video about several videos about genetics, because he breeds different kinds of snakes. So in order to breed them, you have to understand their genetics, and he does a great job at explaining a lot of fairly difficult concepts with just such ease and such what's the word here? Zaniness, I think, is the best word. He's very, very entertaining, and from what I can gather, he's actually a pretty avid Pokemon fan as well. For being a reptile pet channel, he talks about Pokemon a fair amount, so definitely check out his channel as well. Anyway, circling back. So I was watching a video, rewatching a video. I don't know why I rewatched it. It was just on my suggested feed and it came up. YouTube's weird. But from a while ago, where he was unboxing one of his new pets. And it was a type of snake called a false water cobra. And funnily enough, in the video, it actually bit him. And he had to go to the hospital.
If you have any name suggestions, I'm leaning... Hey! Do you guys see that? I just got bit! I just got bit by this false water cobra! That is only the 3rd time I've ever been bit by a snake in my life. So that's exciting.
Because these snakes, even though they are not cobras, like the name says, they are a false cobra. Even though it's not a cobra, it is still venomous. And suddenly, I was just struck with inspiration. It reminded me of the scene from the second Pokemon movie, Pokemon movie 2000, with, all of the flying type Pokemon flying over the sea and a bunch of water type Pokemon swimming across the sea, to basically be there for Ash as he's trying to, stop Lugia from being captured. If you've never seen the second movie, 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's a great movie. But there was one moment in the movie that was super memeable, and it's among all these big, scary, or at least appropriate water-type Pokemon swimming across the sea. There's just a random Ekans. Just a random Ekans swimming across the sea with all these other water-type Pokemon. So, that made me think, maybe Arbok isn't a cobra, Arbok is a false water cobra. And in this video that I made, one of the first videos on the channel, I talk about how deadly is each poison type Pokemon. And in it, when I talk about Arbok, Arbok's Pokedex entries don't really mention it being venomous. Instead, they talk a lot about it being a constricting snake, and there are no species of big constricting snakes that are venomous. You think of things like anacondas, pythons, boas, none of them are venomous. Or at least venomous enough to be lethal to a human. Definitely not. Most of them are just non-venomous altogether, but there are some larger snakes that are mildly venomous, and one of them is the false water cobra. I like to throw in little bits of taxonomy and scientific naming nomenclature into these videos. So, cobras are members of the snake family Elapidae, which is exclusively for cobras. Whereas false water cobras are members of the family Colubridae, which basically any snake that's not a python, a boa, or a viper are in this family. So think things like garter snakes, things like hognose snakes, things like water snakes are in this family. So all of this to say that Arbok suddenly makes a lot more sense to me now as a biologist if it is a false water cobra as opposed to an actual cobra, because while false water cobras, like I said, are technically venomous, it's not enough to kill a person unless, you get some kind of allergic reaction to it. It'll send you to the hospital for sure, but it won't kill you. Whereas, cobras are very well known as being some of the most venomous snakes on the planet. So, like I said, super low stakes theory, just something that I had like a eureka moment about, and I wanted to make a quick video about it to share some information with you guys, and also just to shout out Brett and Clint's channels once again. Great content creators, both of them. I would greatly appreciate if you would check them out, like I said. Let me know your thoughts. Is there any other Pokemon that you think, well, most people think it's based on one thing, but you actually think it's based on another one? Maybe I can make this a whole new series, is, misidentified Pokemon. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and or subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Pallet_U to keep up on all things Pokemon science. And as always, there's a time and place for everything.